Hello everyone, my name is Prasad Narayan and today I'll be talking about few topics related to the subject Principles and Practice of Management or PPM as it is commonly known as. To give a brief introduction about myself, after working in the IT industry for over 2 decades, I started teaching general management subjects like PPM, organizational behavior, human resource management, soft skills, business communication, business ethics, and corporate governance. I also teach IT related subjects like software quality assurance and testing, management information system, project management, and business analysis. Functions of management, levels of management, Henry Fayol's 14 principles, Frederick Taylor's 4 principles of scientific management is what I will be focusing on in this session. And once we are done with 4 topics, I would also be talking briefly about some exercise or group activity. So then let's get started. Functions of management. Before I talk about what the various functions are, I'm assuming that students know the meaning of the term management. They know what leadership means, the difference between management and leadership. And speaking of the difference, I like what Peter Drucker once mentioned. According to him, management is doing things right and leadership is doing the right things. The 5 functions of management are POSDC in short, where P stands for planning, O is for organizing, S is for staffing, D is for directing, and C stands for control. Planning. A goal without a plan is just a wish. A good plan today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow. Planning is one of the most important project management and time management techniques. Now, has poor planning ever let you down? What about proper planning? How has it helped you? Those who fail to plan to fail. Planning means deciding in advance what is to be done in the future, why, when, where, etc. needs to be done. It is the process of thinking before doing. Think of a plan. A plan is like a roadmap. You think through the various activities that are required to be done to achieve a desired goal. Few examples. Chandrayaan. Think of the enormous planning that would have gone for Chandrayaan 1 and 2. If you were to start up your own business, what all will you plan? How will you plan? The nitty-gritty is involved. If you are to start your own restaurant, again the same question or questions. Career plans. Again, it simply means right from the college that you zero on for taking admission, what stream to choose, it's engineering, or if you're talking about MBA, is it going to be HR, finance, operations, marketing, etc. In terms of organization planning, having worked in the industry, some of the things that I was, involved with were related to company expansion plans, succession planning, and also employee development planning. Let's talk about organizing. Organizing is about allocation of resources once the plan has been made. It's about identifying who does what. Delegation of authority. I'm sure we have either heard of it or we must have at some point of time organized a surprise birthday party. Let's organize a get together. When somebody says I'm part of the organizing committee, what is he exactly trying to do or trying to tell? Organizing is the process of bringing together various resources for achieving something. And when I talk about resources, it does not just include human resources. I'm also talking about raw materials, tools, hardware resources, and also software resources. Let's move on to staffing now. Staffing is the process of hiring, positioning, and overseeing employees in an organization. Staffing is a managerial exercise present in all stages and all levels of the organization. It involves manpower planning. How many people do we need to execute a particular project? What kind of skills should these people who have been selected, should they have the skills that they should have? We are talking about recruitment and selection, followed by training and development. Putting the right person on the right job at the right time is the main purpose of staffing. Staffing involves forecasting and, based on that, deciding the future needs of the company. When you talk about staffing, it's also about, some work, for example, would require full-time employees, some part-time or even consultants. Some would require temp staff, or some work may need to be outsourced. Directing. Director of a movie, what does that mean? Well, till the director feels that the artists, the actors have given the perfect shot, right? So that's what it means. Has have my actors given the perfect shot? Likewise, the managers directing their employees what needs to be done without telling how it needs to be done. I mean, the managers don't have to always tell. They don't have to spoon feed. Directing obviously follows planning, organizing, and staffing functions. So directing is the process of instructing. It's a process of guiding, motivating, and leading the people. An organization, if I may add, leading the people on the project. It's a continuous process, and it starts at the top level and trickles down all the way to the bottom level. Controlling. What does controlling mean? According to Henry Fayol, control consists of verifying whether everything occurs in conformity with the plan adopted, the instructions issued, and the principles established. Planning and controlling are dependent upon each other. Well, why is that so? That's because planning provides the targets against which actual performance can be compared. Controlling brings out the shortcomings of planning. This is exactly why they are dependent upon one another. What does it involve? Comparing the performance with the plan. We are talking about actual performance versus expected performance. Is there a deviation? If so, let's analyze it and then take the corrective steps. Now let's move on to another topic, levels of management. And by now you would have already guessed that there are three levels. One is the top level, one is the second is the mid level, and the third is the first level. Top level includes board of directors, chairman, president of the company, managing director, CXOs, wherein X is the only variable. So chief executive officer, chief financial officer, chief operating officer, etc. If the organization is huge, I would like to place the senior EVPs or executive vice presidents, the senior vice presidents, the VPs, etc. Also the executive directors in the mid level. And in the first level, I would place managers and team leads. Now, what do top levels do? Top level management, what is their role? They're responsible for overseeing the entire organization. They set goals for the organization. And do remember, they are not responsible for the day to day activities. Mid level, they're responsible for carrying out the goals that have been set up by the top level management team. The goals would be for their respective departments and the other business units or strategic business units. The first level managers, they are responsible for the daily, day to day management of employees. They are managers with whom employees interact with on a daily basis. Now, which level you would fall into would depend upon the organization size, the organization structure. So, for instance, in some organization, I was part of the top level management team, and in some other, mid level, even though my title was almost the same. Now, regardless of the title, as a manager, I was invariably responsible for forming the team, conducting employee orientation once the team members join the organization, setting them up for success by providing them training, measuring and monitoring their performance, communicating job expectations, conducting one-on-ones, team meetings every 3 or 4 weeks, coaching, supervision, planning, performance management. What else? Developing and tracking budgets, ensuring that the product is delivered on time and within budget. So these are some of the roles and responsibilities I had. Fayol's 14 principles. Henry Fayol's 14 principles. Let's take a look. The first principle of Fayol is division of work. Now, according to Henry Fayol, work should be assigned based on the area of expertise, or should I say specialization of an employee, like marketing, finance, software developer, business analyst. Authority and responsibility. According to Fayol, with authority comes responsibility, and authority and responsibility are two sides of the same coin. Discipline, we are talking about following rules in the organization. In today's times, if I were to uh, label this term, I would call it code of conduct or code of business conduct. Fourth principle of Fayol is unity of command. According to Fayol, employees should receive orders from one manager only. However, when you talk about MNCs or multinational companies, there's a concept of direct and dotted line reporting. And obviously, so there can't be one manager. And direct and dotted line reporting would actually lead to conflict. The fifth principle is unity of direction. It means employees engaged in the same kind of work must have the same objectives. For example, employees working in engineering, employees working in HR department, they will all have the same objectives. Subordination of individual interest. The primary focus, according to uh, Fayol, was the primary focus should be on organization goals, not individual goals, because goals of the firm are paramount. Remuneration, pay. We are talking about pay, and according to Fayol, pay should be decent enough so that employees are motivated to do their best. Rewards, reward employees suitably, be it salary, bonus, or comp and benefits. Centralization, and the opposite of centralization is decentralization. According to Fayol, centralization means power of planning and decision making rests with the top management. Whereas when you talk about decentralization, the sharing of power and authority rests with the mid level or the lower level management. Scalar chain, it means the line of authority, the number of levels in the hierarchy, right from the top to the lowest level in the organization. Order, the work environment should be clean, tidy, and safe. That is what Fayol meant by order. The 11th principle means equity. The 11th principle is equity rather, and according to Fayol, employees must be treated well. They should be treated fairly without any bias. Stability of tenure. Now, what does that mean? Fayol is talking about job security, attrition, low rate of employee turnover, career progress. Initiative. Allow employees to express their views, to express new ideas. Let them be proactive, not reactive. Last but not the least, it's a French term, so I wouldn't make an attempt to pronounce, but this means unity. In unity lies strength. We are talking about feeling of pride, trust. The morale of the employees should always be high. They should always be enthusiastic. Now, the easiest way to remember Fayol's principles: Dad, you see USSR. Oh, I see. Now, the number of letters starting from D, Dad, you see USSR, all the way to SEE, there are 14 letters, and you can remember the 14 principles based on what's on your screen. Dad, you see USSR. Oh, I see. Let's talk about Taylor's principles now. Frederick Taylor, he defines scientific management as knowing exactly what you want workers or employees to do and then see to it that it gets done in the best and cheapest way. In my opinion, cheapest is not about not compromising on the quality. So yes, should know employees should know or you should employees should know what needs to be done and basically ensure that people are productive. They do things in efficient and effective manner, but at the same time not compromising on quality. His four principles of scientific management were science, not rule of thumb. Now, what does this mean? According to Taylor, there should not be any trial and error method. So no trial and error, no hit and miss methods. Think before you act. A manager must make decisions based on his or her past experience. He should come up with newer techniques, innovation, etc. Harmony, not discord. Wherever you have got workers and management, there's bound to be discord. There's always the blame game. Employees sometimes feel that they are not paid well, whereas management have their own reasoning. But Taylor insisted that management and workers must resolve their difference amicably. His third principle was cooperation, not individualism. Employee and management will always be at loggerheads if they do not cooperate with one another. So that's why cooperation is extremely important here. Without cooperation, neither parties will be able to achieve the desired result. Individuals cannot bring a positive change on their own. Management needs workers and vice versa. Last but not the least, development of each and every person to his or her greatest efficiency and prosperity. Now, this principle of scientific management by Frederick Taylor means that every employee should be motivated to give his or her best. Individual goals are tied to department goals, which are tied up to organization goals. If as an individual, if I'm doing well, it's a good chance that I'll flourish, my department will do well, and if that happens, the organization will also be doing well. So, as I said in the beginning, we are done with four topics. Now let me move on quickly to exercise. These are some exercises that you can either do it at home, or if your faculty allows you, you could do some of them in the classroom. We learned about Fayol's 14 principles. My first question is, in today's times, how many of these 14 principles would still be applicable? And more importantly, will they be applicable to every industry, be it healthcare, manufacturing, retail, etc.? So think about this. If you were to come with your own 14 principles, what would they be? Now, do remember that Fayol came up with these 14 principles in 1916, 1916. After 100 years, do you think that some of the principles would have changed? As per Fayol, remuneration or pay should be sufficient to keep employees motivated. But as you would agree, pay is not the only parameter for employees to get motivated. What, in your opinion, are some other parameters that would keep employees motivated all the time? Stability of tenure. We learned this. Why is attrition especially high in India? Unity of command is not possible in multinational companies. As I explained, direct and dotted line reporting takes place in MNCs. The question here is, direct and dotted line reporting can harm the employee who gets sandwiched between the direct line manager and the dotted line. Please discuss the same if there is a solution to this problem. In today's scenario, Taylor's first principle, science not rule of thumb, would be called as what? And the answer is just a one word answer, one maximum two words. What are some of the biggest challenges that are faced by the top level or the executive management team? Questions, comments, suggestions, feedback, if you have any, you can contact me on my email ID. My email ID is prasadqa, that is Q for quality, A for assurance. Or you can also find me on LinkedIn. So please do let me know if there are any questions, concerns, or comments. Would be happy to answer that. Thank you.